You own a Skaven Undercity. Now what? Congratulations on your first Undercity! Whether you sacrificed a Warlock Engineer hell-bent on doom, or forcibly evicted many of the previous tenants first, you now own prime real estate located under other real estate. There are 4 roomy slots for expanding in comfort. Let's review your options. First, let's discuss Vermintide. No, not Fat Shark. Vermintide armies. Built with the Rat King building for 1000 gold, this threatens your Undercity instantly by putting Discoverability at 140 of 100 points before running dire risks. And, since the Vermintide, a 4000 gold upgrade, takes 5 turns, this will likely be fatal to your plans and your Undercity. Do yourself the favor of having characters not in an army in that region for -10 discoverability on a rolling basis, or build anti-discoverability buildings for peace of mind and treasury. A Vermintide army has a standard strength, but this increases as technologies are researched throughout a campaign, for at least 5 turns, as much as 10, verifiable in the user interface with the Vermintide symbol hiding somewhere with the army and its general. This army requires only the food in upkeep, no gold. It also replenishes, and after its duration of glory expires, you'll pay normal upkeep, but if you're Clan Eshin, not having to pay triple recruitment costs for clan rats may make you smile. Though, actually using this army to recruit suffers such high penalties, even Snitch himself will keel over. Vermintide armies can do Lightning Strike and Vanguard deployment, and come stock with many melee units. Annexation section. Why is this called Annexation? Because once you build one or both of these buildings, that's right, they're not mutually exclusive. Whatever those silly surface dwellers think, that territory is really yours. Burrows. For 1000 gold and 1 turn, arms discoverability by 10. Campaign movement range plus 10% for local armies of yours. Skaven corruption in adjacent provinces plus 0.25%, meaning all 4 slots, would increase by a single measly point. Now, all of the buildings for this give this 0.25 in corruption, so just fill up an Undercity and you'll do it. Plus 2 uses of the menace below for combat in that region. Leadership plus 2 when attacking, and it says casualty replenishment plus 10% for local characters. I wondered what this meant. It is very unusual wording. Does this mean heroes outside an army that do not usually replenish, even if they were damaged in an army prior? Does it mean only characters in an army, embedded? Pray tell, does it mean actual armies themselves? Yes, it's the armies themselves. And it means they can replenish at this rate in foreign territory without being in Encamp stance, provided attrition is not troubling them and so forth. So it means you can do an ambush stance in foreign territory and replenish using this building unless attrition is killing your rats. This is a very big deal, and while I have paid the price for experimenting with not taking a comfortable amount of territory around my core region, this has some very evil uses, particularly when you bait opponents into fighting there. Dens for 2 turns and 2000 gold increases discoverability to 20, that's the pattern. I won't repeat it every time. Menace below uses plus 3 independent of food, leadership plus 4 when attacking, casualty replenishment rate plus 15%, and campaign movement range plus 20%. Layers for 3 turns, 3000 gold, gives plus 4 to menace below, leadership plus 6 when attacking, replenishment plus 20%, campaign movement range plus 30%. 4 turns for 4000 gold for subterranean hideout, menace below plus 5, leadership plus 8, when attacking, casualty replenishment plus 25%, campaign movement plus 40%. Underkeep for 5 turns more and 5000 gold more, this adds up a lot, gives menace below plus 6, leadership plus 10 when attacking, replenishment plus 30%, movement range plus 50%. This means it's your highway under the surface. For 1 turn 1000 gold underpass, again, not mutually exclusive, gives a different set. Vanguard deployment for all units, even artillery, plus 10% to hero action success. From assassinate to assault units to steal technology. And movement range plus 10%. 2 turns and 2000 gold for Underway Junction, same pattern, hero success chance plus 20%. The pattern escalates at tier 3 because it enables lightning strike battles even if your lord is not spec'd into that, and sometimes those can be a good thing. Sometimes. Weapons team armies especially. Friendly hero success chance plus 20%, movement plus 30%. This pattern retains for Underway Hub for Tier 4, but Underway Nexus gives us one final curveball at Tier 5, plus 200% to sacking income. In other words, do this in a top-tier enemy city, and the windfall is very large. Discoverability buildings come in two flavors. The second, Deeper Tunnels, requires no resources once built, reduces discoverability by 40, and takes 3 turns, 2,000 gold to build. You also lose visibility over the local region. Now, I need to emphasize this strongly. Without this building, you have visibility over the local region, and it operates as a silent sentinel, informing you on enemy activities. This is far from worthless strategically. 1 turn and 1,500 gold, so good for emergencies. Murder holes cost 100 gold per turn, but discoverability goes down by 20. Upgrading to kill purchase costs 3,000 gold and 3 turns, and then you pay 200 gold per turn on top of this until demolished or destroyed, but discoverability goes down to 40 without costing you visibility. Ergo, to make a Vermintide work, either have character spam in the area or build tier 1 murder holes and deeper tunnels. The process is similar, but Clan Scryer has its own variant, Doom Sphere, which essentially works like a nuclear weapon in a Civilization game, or siding with the bad guys and blowing up the bomb in Megaton in Fallout 3. One click, city gone. Drink rat champagne. Clan Pestilence seems to have its own very particular variant. Food! Scavenger Raiding Building takes 1 turn 1,000 gold and gives you 1 unit of food per turn until destroyed, no upkeep. Discoverability up by 20. Upgrading to Scavenger Horde takes 3 turns and 3,000 gold more, discoverability up to 40, no upkeep here either. This is thus a very important building. Raiding Camp takes 4 turns, 4,000 gold, and otherwise your downside is a fat 80 discoverability, but you get 100 flat gold per turn, 10% of income from the settlement's own gold income besides, and plus 2 food per turn. You can combine with the other building if you build concealment buildings to help. Is that worth it? Well, the cost of kill purchase is defrayed a lot, and that's net plus 5 food from one settlement, no matter how minor. This has potential. For crafting, Warp Token Stash for 1 turn 1,000 gold actually costs 1 food per turn, giving you flat 200 gold income per turn, discoverability up by 20. Upgraded for 3 turns and 3,000 gold to Warp Token Mint. Now it's discoverability 40, income 400 gold flat per turn without any conditions, except it costs 2 food to keep it running. This could mess up your food economy unless you're earning a lot of it, but it's money. For 1 turn and 1,000 gold, thieves, hidey holes, siphons, so to speak, 20% of the settlement's income to you. 20 discoverability, 1 food per turn. Let's say this now. In Warhammer 3, few cities are worth using this one, but they exist. Aislin's capital, Vilish's Dark Fortress if no one manages to bonk him, and so on, do make for a large return from a single city if you max this chain up. 3 turns and 3,000 gold upgrades to Ratketeers. Ahem, that was pretty lame, guys. Anyway, 30% income siphoned, that's only a 50% improvement over the first building, 40 discoverability, 2 food per turn. This wouldn't matter so much if there wasn't an even higher tier. Ratkin Mafia, now we're serious. Discoverability a full 80, no increase in food cost, so still minus 2 food, and you siphon 50% of the settlement's wealth. Again, probably not worth all this trouble unless it's quite a settlement, but they exist. The last section is mining. The subterranean pit, built for 4 turns, 2,000 gold, costs 2 food and 50 gold per turn, and gives a finicky 5% chance to spread a new undercity to an adjacent land settlement per turn. Discoverability of 20. 6 turns and 4,000 gold upgrades to mine shafts. Discoverability penalty 40. Costs 3 food to upkeep, and 100 gold per turn besides. But it increases the chance of spreading to 10% per end turn. Yes, this is one of the main ways to keep spreading them, but you can eat yourself into disaster this way too. The last two buildings are considered niche, so let's talk about the niches. 3 turns and 3,000 gold builds Warpstone Refinery. This has 40 discoverability, costs 2 food, and 100 gold per turn to maintain. This gives Winds of Magic reserve capacity +3 with all armies. Upkeep is -3% for Warp Fire Throwers, Warp Lightning Cannons, and Doom Wheels specifically, but that's faction-wide, meaning it gets nuts if you have a bunch of them. Also, for each such building, +1 recruit rank for all your weapons team's recruits, stacking faction-wide. So yeah, if you're able to use them, you may want this building. Is that hard for Eshin? Speaking of Eshin, this building also grants +5 research rate per building. Total hostility by Clan Scryer through clan contracts gives -10 research, along with it costing even a little bit more for their ruinous prices for weapons teams and war machines. So, 2 of these buildings can completely make up for the research deficit. The rest, only time and doing enough quiet assassination for Ikat will work in that case. 4 turns and 4,000 gold create the Subterranean Strip Mine. Also sporting 80 discoverability and costing 2 food, it actually generates 100 income per turn and gives -3% to normal building construction costs faction-wide. It also gives income from trade tariffs +8%. That's the base amount, not the resource selling, because that's a variable and can really bounce around. This gives raising income +300% to characters, which is rarely worth it in practice but is cool, and allows 1 use of Skaven Warp Bomb, which is quite powerful and might be a hell of a nasty surprise for a foe. That wraps up the buildings. While it is dangerous to leave undercities and thus enemy settlements close to your core areas, one's allies take over after you've established such a thing are relatively safe and can help you long term. The annexation giving the help I described gives you some options, but again, the ideal is to spread through allied territory with stuff like that, only using it offensively if your ally fails. Well, there's a lot of options. There's a bad cooldown for Warlock Engineer Undercity Establishment that's ameliorated a lot by owning Skaven Blight and having an expensive Tier 5 building, so keep that filed away in your head. There is not really a better way for these options. Some campaigns, you're swimming in food, and then have severe setbacks as you build up tons of money. Bottom line for me is that money is for a purpose. More war. War is the biggest money and food earner in the end. Money is a way to get more armies and heroes to make you hit harder and do more war, and then you earn more money and food through victory. Too little war, and you start running out of things. Too much, and you need more armies fast, huh? And running out of money is bad too. Undercities help you balance resources, but let's keep perspective. The Pure Food building only takes the initial investment and time, and gives food in perpetuity until the Undercity is destroyed. No babying, no worrying, no costing you other resources. In other words, it's even better if it quietly lasts 40 turns than otherwise. The proverbial profit is much greater. The flat income building costs you 2 food per turn to cough up 400 gold. Fine if you have tons of food, but you'll only replenish enough if you're at war a lot. Keep that in mind when balancing income with army and hero upkeep. Undercities are there to support you, not to turn Warhammer 3 into a management sim alone. Keep that notion in mind and you should be fine. Take care, and have fun finding the sneaky combinations that suit you best. Just watch out for Beastmen and other spoil sports raising stuff. Long term, you just have to make enough of them that they can't be resisted.